Hey, ladies and germs, it's the 5th of February, not the 6th, and it is a Friday. What's going on today? This is episode number 2 of my life story. Yeah, like I got a life. Two things happened for me today. I just want to let everybody know that my love life has been rather slim. Slim? Slim. I have been meeting people online on Match.com, and it's been really funny. I was online with Israeli, believe it or not, out of New York City, living on the Upper East Side. We had a nice conversation all week long, and she was the type of person, was really cool. A lot of these people, when you're online, a lot of these people, what they want to do is just text. They're a bunch of lonely hearts. They're a bunch of lonely souls. They don't want to really get involved in a relationship. They just want to talk. And most of them just want to stay on a text. They believe that the cell phone, giving out a cell phone number is like pulling teeth. I can use another euphemism, but I won't. But I did run into this girl that immediately after about 3 or 4 texts, she says, I can't text. Here's my phone number. And that was very cool. That is something that you don't get much. So we talked. And then finally last night, as we were setting up a date for this evening, in which I wanted to go into New York City. I was in the mood to go to the city. And she was telling me last night something about she's not ready yet. And it wasn't so much ready for me. She had just broken up with somebody 6 weeks ago, and she feels that she wasn't ready yet to start another relationship. God damn, I just want to have a friggin' drink. My whole theory was to go into the city as an excuse. I'd have a couple of drinks with the wench, and which she told me she was a big red drinker. She was Israeli, so-called old school. I didn't understand that, but she did have a sense of humor. She did laugh at some of my stupid jokes. But then last night I started getting this thing about where I think it's too soon, because I just, with this situation where she was dating someone and broke up 6 weeks ago, that it might be too soon for her to get involved. Didn't understand that, because I'm always the type that when you fall off a horse, you jump back on it and whatever. And I knew at that point it was going to be c'est la vie, where I did get a text this morning saying, we're going to have to reschedule because I don't think I'm ready, and stuff like that, where I pretty much texted back and said, okay. I go, okay, kid, you have a nice life, pretty much. It's the way you gotta be. You can't really dwell on it. And I don't really dwell on it. It's a thing where, the closest I've ever come to anybody, and it wasn't even meeting somebody online. My guitar has done a lot of good stuff, where about, I'd say in August, end of July, beginning of August, I met a girl named Dawn, and I'm 58 years old. So I played 4 or 5 songs at an open mic. It was really weird. I went to a place called Hawthorne, New York, and I had a bug on my ass. It was a Tuesday night, and Tuesday night open mics are very rare. So I go online to my website where it has all the open mics, and there was one in Hawthorne, New York. So I decided, let me go to Hawthorne, New York. So I go to Hawthorne, New York, and I sit at the bar, and I had actually dinner, my ginger ales, because, I can't drink when to sing, otherwise I lose my voice. And so I'm rapping with this dude next to me. We're talking Yankees and stuff, playoffs, and, good old number 13, Rodriguez. And, A-Rod, and then there's a girl to the right of me, her name was Dawn. And she was with some guy, and I briefly just introduced myself. I'm one never to sit at the bar by myself and not talk to the people, at least say hello to left and right. So I'm actually hanging out with Left, the guy, and we're talking, all this stuff. Sports and all this. And then as I'm talking to a girl on the right, it was just an introduction. My name's Ray, and she said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I'm a musician, and I'm here to play, So guy calls me up to play 5 songs. Then I sit back down and talking to the guy again. He goes, "Oh, wow, man, you're really good, I didn't expect, you to be really good." And I said, "Well, I've been playing out for a long time since, whatever." And a lot of the open mic musicians, they go up there because they play around with the guitar and they like to go up there and play. It's more of like a AAA type situation for me or not even AAA. Some of these open mics could be AA or A ball. Not that I'm a great musician at all, as I'm sure many of you people on this video watching me know, I have my assets and I have my deficits. So as I play my 5 songs, which is you're allowed to, each person's allowed 5 songs. I sat down and then I ordered a drink, Captain Coke or something. And so I'm talking to the dude the next to me. "Hey, you're doing, you were pretty good. I didn't expect that." And then I'm talking to the girl to the right of me and briefly just really small talk with her. And it was a situation, so I just mentioned something. I said, "So what happened?" I said, 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by. And then I whispered to her, I said, "Dawn, what happened to the guy you were with?" And she goes, "Well, actually, Ray, he wasn't with me. He was a blind date that I met on Match.com." And so I said to her, "So what happened?" She goes, "Well, I kind of told him I wasn't interested." And I turned away, as I'm talking to her, I said, "Hey, he seemed like a nice guy. I mean, he was a handsome dude." I said, "What went wrong?" And she goes, "Basically, after the 3rd song you played, a Cat Stevens song, is when I decided to tell him to leave." I'm like, "Okay." I did Father and Son, which is one of my favorites, and people like to hear it. It's a good song. And she says it had something to do with her heart and all this, and she said she would really like to get to know me, and that's why she told him to leave. So we had some pictures taken and stuff like that, and in my whole life, and this is the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, I've never really ever picked up women in bars. It has been a slim and none situation. And actually with Dawn, I did pick her up. I did exchange phone numbers with her. It was a very rare situation. I remember when I would play out, I would have people actually stand right at the mic. I had this one midget, standing at the mic in the middle of a song, and with her arms crossed, waiting me for the finish, but she was pretty much right on top of the mic. I was almost ready to hand it to her. And then she said, as soon as the song was over, she says, "Listen, I'm double parked. I have a business card. My friend really wants to meet you. Here's her card. Can you call her, please, tomorrow? Because she really wants to meet you." Okay, and I do kind of recall a girl. One thing about when you do play out, and especially for me, and it gives me a little bit of it helps me out a little bit. You don't really key on people in the crowd. I don't have the stage fright situation that a lot of musicians do have, but I do get an energy from people if I notice that they're enjoying the music. And if I see a guy, especially, singing a song, I'll key on him. My eyes will be on him and not the crowd. I totally wipe out the crowd. And then normally as I play, I wipe out the crowd totally sometimes, because when I play out, I'm playing really for myself. I'm not playing for the guys, for anybody out there. And, it's odd that every once in a while I'll run into a girl who's singing, or I'll run into a guy who's singing the song along with me, and I will key in on them because give me a little inspiration. They do help out with the energy. There's an energy flow that a musician does get. Dawn and I meet in her town, which is in Mount Kisco, and we went to like a tapas bar, which is it was an Indian type thing. India tap. It was weird, but they made a great. What do you call those things? Not a whiskey sour, but like a Mexican thing. I can't remember. God, I'm having a brain fart. We then met at this place down the block from her house, not far. She lived in Mount Kisco, and I ate this Moroccan chicken wing, and I'm going to tell you, don't ever have Moroccan chicken wings. It destroyed my intestines. It ripped holes through my intestines. That next morning, I was in bad shape, man. But then I wasn't home in my own house. So, for that to be said, Dawn and I then had a relationship. One thing led to another, where I invited up to a about 6 weeks later, invited her up to a very romantic, in Manchester, where I used to go for New Year's Eve with Mary Ellen. And I never was up there in the summertime, but it has a lot of shopping malls, and I had lost all this weight, and I kind of wanted her up there so I could walk out of a store that had retail stickers of say $500 and walk out and spend $85. That's how great the mall is up there, and they're all company stores.